Hi, my name is Rick Donnell. I'm the Assistant Senior Pastor at Harvest Bible Chapel, and it's a privilege for me just to talk for a few minutes about using your vacation time wisely. And you know, it's usually about this time of year where we're starting to look forward to that. Summer's approaching. It's been probably a ministry year where you're starting to feel tired, and you're looking forward to some time away with. And I think it's a time that if we're not careful, doesn't get used to its full potential. And so the word that I want to really emphasize is we got to be intentional about our vacation time. And I just want to really share three areas that I think I've tried to do, certainly not perfectly, but some things I've given some thought to with my wife and my own family, and maybe some of these things might be helpful as you think this through as well. The first thing I would just say to you is you got to get away. And I remember early on in my own ministry, I made the mistake of kind of doing the let's stay at home kind of vacation. And I always regretted that because, you know, it's just too easy for people and friends to find you and know that you're at home. And next thing you know, you're talking about the church, or something happens at the church. They know you're at home, and it's that they think they're just making the one phone call, but 5 other people have done that. And before you know it, you're just wrapped up in things that are going on in the church or people's lives, the very thing that you need some time to really get away from. Not that you don't care, but because you got to be refreshed. You got to have your mind off those things. So guys, I just really want to encourage you, be intentional about getting away. You need a change of scenery. You need it. Believe me, your wife is wanting it. And your kids are ready for it as well. And so get away. And I think one of the things that really can stop people from thinking that we can do that is, well, it's kind of expensive. And, well, you know, you have to really sometimes be creative about that. And here's some things that we have found. Number one, we have found there's people in our church who have places and have offered them sometimes to us. Or if they knew that we were looking for a place, they would love to let us use it. And so begin even to pray about that. Here's the second thing that I would just leave with you. You got to get refreshed. First of all, you got to get away, but secondly, get refreshed. And I know these things maybe just are like, okay, I've heard that before, but I just think this is really, really important. You've got to be intentional about how am I going to get refreshed? And certainly you guys, but also your wife needs that. And you need that as a couple. And so you got to have a plan as to how I'm going to get refreshed. And so here's just some basic things that I've tried to do. Number one, try to really stay off your phone, stay off email. You know, all these things are great and it keeps us in contact when we need to be when we're away. But I believe that part of it is just refreshing our mind and giving our mind a rest and not just always being available to everybody. And so have a good talk with your assistant or talk to some of your staff and tell them, look, you can get at me if you really need me, but please only if you really, really need me, because, or turn your phone off and have a time during the end of the day where you'll return phone calls, or so you're not constantly being interrupted. And believe me, your wife will really, really appreciate that. Another thing under getting refreshed that I have found is just plan some fun stuff. And I remember every year Lynn and I just start thinking through not only where we're going, but what are we going to do? What are some things that we as a couple really want to do? Because it's not just about me getting refreshed, it's her too. And whether it's just spending some times planning some walks together, or things that we want to do together, activities, books that we're going to read together, whatever. Make sure that you have a plan. What are we going to do? How are we going to use our time so it just doesn't get wasted? And what are some fun things that we're going to do? And that was always fun when our kids especially were younger. And just really having some things that we planned and look forward to each day in our vacation. What was the one fun thing that we were going to do as a couple or as a family? And that takes some thought, that takes some work, but you got to be intentional to really get the most out of it. Hey guys, here's the third word I'd get you is get refueled. How am I going to get my battery recharged? And so I always look forward to vacation, having extended times with the Lord. Just time in His Word, time journaling, writing down some thoughts, things that I really think He's teaching me, spending some time praying. It's not that I don't do that in my regular week, but sometimes even that feels sometimes constrained, and I got to be the next thing. And so vacation can be a real time to be refueled in your own spiritual walk. Here's another thing. Lynn and I always pick some books that we want to read. read, always, and you probably have that on your list too, but it's just planning that and thinking ahead and taking those with you, and what are some areas that I just really want to sharpen myself about, where I can just kind of read for myself, not for a message prep, not for a class that I got to teach, just what are some things that I can get from the Lord through things that other people have written on areas that I just really want to expand my mind on, and just some great conversations you can have as couples. I always find it's a great time with Lynn. And a big part of our vacation is just, like I've mentioned before, those walks, those sitting together on the beach, out in a canoe, where we just have some things that we want to talk about. And one of the things I like to kind of lead the discussion on is, how are we doing in our marriage? What are some areas that we think we're doing well? What are some areas that we want to grow in? When our kids were younger, we were evaluating, how do we think our kids are doing? What are some things that we want to be doing with them in this coming year to see them grow and challenged? And we talk about ministry together. What are some areas that we wanted to serve in together as we thought towards the fall? And so we just would feel like coming back from vacation, it was just a great deposit into each other and into our family, and just feeling like we were intentional about some of those things, getting away, getting refreshed, getting refueled, being on the same page, and ready to come back to serve the Lord with all of our heart and strength. Hopefully some of these things have been helpful as you seek to be intentional about your vacation.